Good morning. And thank you to the Spirit Choir and to Suzanne for our gathering music, Hold On, which is a song that comes out of the resistance in Minneapolis and has recently been accepted into Sing Out Love, the new UU hymnal. No, that's worth cheering for. Welcome to your neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Sunday service. Thank you for joining us, whether you are with us in this time and space, watching on Zoom in this time but some other space, or listening on video in another time and another space. In all cases, we welcome you here. Our mission, you are all welcome, as is everyone seeking a spiritual community. Our mission at Neighborhood is to empower spiritual growth and shared action for the care of our world. My name is Peter Marmorek, and I will be your service weaver this morning. For those of us physically here, please remember the various needs and boundaries, honoring our mask-required seating area, keeping the aisles clear for mobility devices, and only taking photos with permission. Because we are a community of many ages and abilities, we embrace whatever little noises or distractions come with being together, and we're committed to a love that makes space for all. If you have a phone or another device that makes noise, I invite you to silence it, unless it's something that you need to access or be part of the service. Our services average about 90 minutes, so if there's anything you need to make yourself comfortable in this space, to sit, to stand, to pace, to fidget, to get a glass of water, please feel free to do so at any moment. That includes going into the wiggle room, which has a couch and where you can hear but not be heard, or the activity table over there where we have supplies and art supplies and a kinetic sandbox. If you're new here and you'd like to keep in touch, please fill out a newcomer card and put it into the offering plate when we pass it around later in the service. Whoever you are, wherever you are in your relationship to belief, to spirituality, or to this community, we welcome you and we're glad you're here with us. And as we're at Neighborhood, now it's time to greet your neighbors. After you've greeted a few neighbors, turn to the camera on the back wall up there and offer a greeting to those who are joining us virtually. When Suzanne sings, that's a signal to end greeting time, but now take this moment and greet your neighbors around you. The land on which I stand is the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit and has been lived on by the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and more recently, other First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. I am mindful of the broken covenants of the past and the present, and the need to strive to make right with Ahoma Taquiasin, all my relations, starting by listening to the stories that tell the truth of this place. And I invite you to join me in reading our invocation projected. Let us cast the circle of a sacred space here. Let us cast the circle of a cherished space here. A space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space and in ourselves the seeds that grow a different kind of life. A life of graciousness, of creative intelligence, a place of life and spirit for ourselves and our families. And our chalice today will be lit by Kim Knutson. Instead of lighting with a USB lighter, there's not much spirituality there, we take the light from the children's flame to light our chalice. This practice honors each child as a vital part of our community and reminds us we all carry an inner child who's worthy of our attention and care. I'll give a fuller introduction to him later on, but now I invite Nigel up to sing his song, Better Day.
Use the microphone.
Sorry. I was asked to introduce it briefly. I'm trying to choke back emotions because I didn't dream of this moment happening, to have a beautiful choir they were practicing already. The song was written in 2020 during COVID, and it was a very challenging time for many of us. As a school teacher, I just felt it was really important to protect many of our members, but not everyone felt that way. And I just remembered, sometimes when the negative voices were getting to you, it was like, no, we have to be masking up. We have to be protecting all of our fellow citizens. And so the song kind of birthed from that, that trying to explain to these folks that we were fighting for a better day, but I just felt like it continues to be really important even in the times that we're facing right now.
Justice, human rights, and peacefulness is what we need. A little forgiveness. Now we are fighting for a better day. Fighting for a better day. It doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor. Now all that matters is fairness and nothing more. All that matters. We are fighting for a better day. We are fighting for a better day. Fighting for a better day. Doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor. Yeah. All that matters is fairness and nothing more. All that matters. We are fighting for a better day. Fighting for a better day today. Doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor. All that matters is fairness and nothing more. Doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor. All that matters is fairness and nothing more.
Hard act to follow there. Our theme for March is our second principle. Justice. We affirm and promote justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. And today's focus is on building justice in a fractured time. It's a joy to welcome our guest speaker and guest musician, Nigel Barriffe, here today. Nigel's an elementary school educator and vice president of the Elementary Teachers of Toronto. He also serves as a board member of the Urban Alliance on Race Relations. A longtime community organizer and musician, Nigel brings together labor advocacy, anti-racism work, and the arts to build spaces of belonging and solidarity. He believes deeply in the power of collective action and collective song to move communities towards justice and compassion to build solidarity across difference. The coming together of Nigel's topic, building solidarity across difference, and yesterday having been Al-Quds Day, made me remember Tikkun Toronto, a Jewish group I was in for about a decade. We took our name from the Jewish injunction to heal the world, Tikkun Olam. Our focus was on building community between Muslims and Jews in Toronto in a manner that we aimed to be caring, creative, collaborative, and fun. A specific Tikkun event I spearheaded was the Israel Stories. The poster is up on the screens in front of us. As I wrote at the time, there's a tension raised in our lives when the clothes of our ancestors passed down to us do not fit who we are. And there's a tension when the truths we learned in childhood no longer seem true. And while I was writing about attitudes around Israel, that tension is present in all cultures, in all of our lives. We shared the Israel stories with other people, and then we listened to their stories. We did that in synagogues and churches with Jews and Muslims. And we began to talk and understand each other across our differences, because your story is just as real as my story, and our shared stories build a solid foundation across our differences. When the winds around you blow, take my hand, as the song you're about to hear says.
We're going to sing together the hymn of the month from the new UU hymnal, Will Be Known by Our Love. You can rise in body or spirit if you're willing and able to sing along with us.
Now I invite Kat up to do Time for All Ages.
All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Kat. You may or may not know this. My pronouns are she, they. And I am the new director of children, youth, and families here at Neighborhood. Thank you. So my new job is a little bit different from Julia's. So Julia was the lifespan learning director, who was in my position before me. The job has grown since then and is vastly different. I'm going to name a little bit of things that are a little bit different now. So I will not be leading Time for All Ages every week anymore. Womp womp. Instead, we're lucky to have an amazing team who are already bursting with creativity and new ideas to share with you all. So don't worry, I'm still around. I'll be joining you about once a month, maybe sometimes more, we'll see, to truly get to see you, learn with you, spend time with you, be with you. And just like this activity will show us today, you'll see in a couple minutes, there are many ways that people contribute to a community. Some lead, some organize, some support behind the scenes, and some bring new ideas forward. I'm really excited for all the different ways that we'll keep building this community together, and I'll be creating a community behind the scenes on social media and doing program planning, outreach, planning volunteer activities, stay tuned for that, as well as frontline work by working the Rainbow Room with your children and your youth. Again, I'm not going anywhere. Just because you don't always see me doesn't mean I'm not doing the work. I'm just not front-facing every day. So if you'd like to get into contact with me, you can come and see me after the service, and I can give you my email. There's 2 ways to contact me. There's also the Facebook page, the Instagram. I can give you all of that information. You can also find it on the newsletter that is out every week. So now that that's out of the way, we can actually begin the activity. So the activity for today is called This or That NUUC Edition. So, and I invite you to take a moment to settle into this space, take a breath, and notice the people around you and each of us carrying our own experiences of justice, compassion, and community. I'm going to read a series of choices, and as you hear them, gently notice which one calls to you today. You may move, you can raise your hand, or simply hold your answer quietly in your head, whichever calls to you the most. Some examples of what you hear are, would you feel more drawn to going to a protest or organizing one, as an example? So as you continue to hear these questions, listen to where your spirit leans. Does it lean towards systemic change or direct care, speaking publicly or organizing quietly? None of these paths are more sacred than another. There are simply different ways that compassion and justice move through us. So together, these many paths weave the fabric of our shared work in the world. Okay, so now let's make sure we put our compassion brains and hats on and begin with our practice question. So I'd like to invite you, if you're willing and able, to stand up, please. Choir, if you'd like to stand up as well. Only if you're willing and able to. And you're going to be moving around the space. So when I ask a question, I'd like you to think of this space as a spectrum. So the glass wall closest to the exit of this space is one answer, and where the choir and I are standing is going to be another extreme of an answer. So if you feel like you fit somewhere in between the spectrum, feel free to use the rose as the guide of the spectrum of where you feel you fit best. So try not to go in between the chairs and ruffle between the chairs and move them all around. Let's try to use the rows that are already indicated here. Make sure that folks that are using mobility aids can still get through and are able to get through, please. So for our silly example, the first question is something salty or something sweet? Something salty is going to be where the glass wall is. Something sweet is going to be where the choir is. I'll repeat it again. Something salty by the glass over there. And something sweet over here. Take a couple seconds to think about where you land on the spectrum. All right, folks, if I can get your attention, please. Thank you so much. Okay, I see a lot of folks are in the middle. So we've got a lot of salty and sweet mixes here. Maybe we like salty, sweet popcorn. I don't know, I do. We got a couple sweets over here. What are we thinking? What's our sweet tooth? All of it. All of it. Chocolate. Chocolate. What's your sweet tooth? Anything? Anything. How about our salties? Pickles. Pickles, pickles. Potato chips, that's a good one. Anything. Sounds like we got a lot of anythings in here. All right, thank you for playing that one question. That's our funny, silly question. So now I'd like everybody to play again. We're gonna have a couple, they're not serious questions, but they're ones that are a little bit more cerebral. So the first question is going to be going to a protest, which is going to be by the glass over there, or helping to organize one. So going, actually attending a protest by the glass walls over there, or helping to organize one by where I'm standing over here, by the podium. You're good right there? Yep, perfect. How are you? All right, folks, if I can get your attention again once more, please. Thank you so much. All right, so we've got quite a few people in the middle, so we're feeling kind of good about either option, but we do have a lot of folks that do prefer to actually stand on the front line. We love to see it. Have we attended before? Can we raise our hand? Okay, we've got a lot of folks. Great, this is great to see. Okay, thank you so much. We've got another question. So this question is deep conversations in small groups, which is by the glass, or large community action events by the podium where I'm standing. Deep conversations in small groups by the glass, or large community action events by the podium. Okay. All right, folks, if I can get your attention once more, thank you so much. It seems we've got a lot of chatter. We've got a lot of things to say about these questions. I love it. What else is there to say? Speech, no. No, okay. So it's clear to me that a lot more folks like the deep, cerebral, one-to-ones or smaller group settings where we can really vibe and get that compassion and our voice heard in the smaller group settings. But we do have folks in the middle where we feel we can kind of nurture ourselves in both spectrums, right? Okay, I see it. Thank you. And we have 2 folks, 3 folks? 4-ish? I mean, we're kind of leaning towards this way. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna do 2 more. So the next one is interfaith collaboration by the Glass, or community organizing within your own congregation by the Podium. So interfaith collaboration by the Glass, or community organizing within your own congregation, where I am by the Podium. Yeah.
The devil you know. The devil you know.
All right, folks, if I can get your attention once more, please. Thank you so much. Okay. This, again, is a very clear one. So it looks like we have some folks that are kind of in between. We like to nourish and nurture our own communities. We have some folks that are a little bit more towards nurturing our own communities. But we also like to collaborate with other communities as well. Sounds like it. Yeah? Do I have that right? Awesome. Okay, last one. Organizing behind the scenes, which is by the Glass, or speaking publicly for a cause, which is by the Podium. So basically, extrovert or introvert. Speaks to you right now? So organizing behind the scenes by the Glass and speaking publicly for a cause by the Podium. That too. All right, great job, folks. All right, this one seems like it's a pretty even split between everybody. So we've got a lot of introverted extroverts, extroverted introverts, extroverts, introverts. We're everywhere. We're a little bit of a mix, and I kind of love that. I think that that's what really makes neighborhood who we are, and that's really what makes community so satisfying, nurturing, and that's really makes us who we are and why we're such a fantastic community, in my opinion. Yeah, definitely. Kim said diversity. So I think diversity pretty much sums it up, right? We like to volunteer, we like to protest, we like to organize, we like to do interfaith, but we also like to support our own. We also like to help individuals in need, but we like to organize. We like to do so many things. We're so different, but we're also similar in so many ways. And I think that there are a lot of folks here that maybe you haven't spoken to before, but maybe you just ran into somebody that had a similarity to you. So I encourage you to take up that conversation after in the coffee hour and maybe make a new friend. So thank you so much for taking part in this game with me, and stay tuned for next time. I invite my friends, the children and youth, to come with me into the Rainbow Room for the children's recessional, and let's go. Thank you.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
And now it's a great pleasure to ask Nigel to come up.
Mic stand? I'll need a mic stand.
Sorry?
The mic stand, I think. I just really want to thank the organizers for Peter, Suzanne, and everyone that put today's the work and labor to make today happen, and my just so grateful to this choir and the beautiful voice. They were here early this morning rehearsing, and it was just so beautiful when you walk into space and hear that harmony together. So thank you for that. I always appreciate spaces like this, spaces where people come together, not just to listen, but to reflect together about the kind of world that we want to build. And in a moment like the one that we're living through, the world often feels fractured. So gatherings like this remind us that justice, compassion, and community are not just ideals, they are practices. Because the world we're living through right now is asking something of us. People feel it in the rising cost of living, they feel it in the housing crisis, and they feel it in the anxiety facing young people who are doing everything that they were told would lead to stability. They're working hard, they're studying hard, and still they're wondering if they'll ever be able to afford a home. They feel it in the climate crisis that now touches every corner of the planet, and they feel it in the growing sense that the systems that are supposed to work for people are increasingly working for someone else. Many people feel that something fundamental is breaking, but every moment of fracture is also a moment of possibility. Because history shows us that when people come together across communities, across faiths, and across differences, they begin to imagine something new. Now, I want to warn you, I am a public school teacher. So first, I am used to people ignoring me for the first 5 minutes until they realize that there's a pop quiz at the end. And second, teachers sometimes they like to make people participate, and so we're going to try something together. The title of my remarks today is "A Change is Going to Come: Building Justice in a Fractured Time," and that title comes from the great song from Sam Cooke, who wrote it after being refused service at a whites-only restaurant, and so sometimes speeches reach a point where words stop being enough, and that's when music has to step in. So before we go any further, I'm going to share a little bit of that song with you. I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, and just like the river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, because I know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Then I go to my brother, and I said, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Whoa, there's been couldn't last for long, but I'm able to carry on. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Thanks, choir. Now, let's hold on to that feeling, okay? And because that belief that change is possible is at the heart of everything that we're going to talk about today. As a public school teacher, some of the most honest questions I hear come from my students. And one year in one of my grade 5 classrooms, we were talking about wealth inequality in Canada. And, for those, school teachers in the room, it's like nonfiction texts, how you read for nonfiction texts, right? But the articles, it was about wealth inequality in Canada. And we were looking at the reality that a handful of billionaire families have more wealth in Canada than millions of Canadians. And one of the students at the back raised their hand and he said, "Mr. B, is that actually true? That just a few families have more wealth than millions of Canadians?" And I said, "Yeah, it's true." And of course, they raised their hand again and they asked me, he said, "Well, if it's true that just a few families have more wealth than millions of Canadians, why aren't adults doing anything about it?" Made the room stop. And that question has always stayed with me. That's why I'm sharing it with you today, because when you hear it from a young person, you realize how strange some things we've normalized really are. Because we live in a world of we live in one of the wealthiest countries in the world, and yet so many people are struggling to afford housing, struggling to find stable work, struggling to build secure futures, and at the same time, people are being told that the reason life is getting harder is immigrants. But scapegoating is one of the oldest political tactics that in the books. Racism and xenophobia are tools used to divide people who should be standing together. That's why the work of organizations like the Workers' Action Center, ACORN, York Southwestern Tenant Union, the Migrant Rights Network, Justice for Workers is so important. They are organizing for dignity at work, for housing justice, for migrant justice. They remind us that when people organize together, they discover their power. And that brings me to something that has been giving me hope lately: music. So recently, some of us as public school teachers, elementary school teachers, we started a choir because teachers are used to raising our voices, usually say things like, "Stop throwing the scissors!" But we realized something. We're going to, if we're going to talk about justice, if we're going to talk about solidarity, then we should also be using our voices to build community. So we started the Elementary Teachers of Toronto Choir, and it's been beautiful because it's about not just about singing, but it's about storytelling. Teachers sharing what they see every day in our classrooms, turning those stories into music. And we are now working on a project called Voices from the Front Lines. It's a developing street musical, songs about teachers, songs about students, songs about struggles happening in the public education, songs about hope, and songs about collective action. Because sometimes music can say things that speeches cannot. And if you'd like to experience that, I want to invite you to the concert. It's on Saturday, April 11th. It's with the Common Thread Community Chorus and the Elementary Teachers of Toronto Choir, and we'll be presenting a concert called Songs of Resistance. It'll take place at the Holy Trinity Church, right behind the Eaton Center. The doors open at 6:15. The actual concert starts at 7 p.m. The evening will include songs from the Common Thread Choir chorus and original music from ETT Choir, including pieces from Voices from the Front Lines. And proceeds from the concert will go to the Doane Music School, helping make music accessible to children regardless of financial circumstances. So if today's gathering reminds you of that power of community, come sing with us. Because sometimes resistance also sounds like harmony. Now, I want to share another story with you from public education. Public schools are supposed to be the one great equalizers in our society, but teachers across Ontario have been watching them slowly being hollowed out. Cuts to programs, larger class sizes, fewer supports, $6.5 billion cut from the school system since 2018 when you account for inflation. And when teachers speak up, they are often punished instead of listened to. Many of you may have heard about what happened at Beaumont Public School just down the road from here. Teachers spoke out about what the realities that they were seeing, and instead of listening to them, they were suspended or fired. But then something remarkable happened. The community showed up. Parents showed up. Students showed up. Hundreds of signed petitions. More than $15,000 raised to support those teachers. Because when communities see injustice clearly, they do not stay silent. And that brings me to Christie Pitts Park, over on the other side of the city near where I live. Because that park carries a deep history in the city, in 1933, Christie Pitts was the site of one of the largest anti-fascist confrontations in Canadian history. Nazi sympathizers were openly displaying swastikas and targeting Toronto's Jewish community. And Jewish and Greek youth in the neighborhood stood up and fought back against that hate. That moment became known as the Christie Pitts riots, a moment when ordinary people refused to allow fascism take root. That park means something to me personally. My own child grew up playing there, running across the baseball fields, climbing the playground, and even learning to ride his bike on those paths. So when far-right groups chose that same park for their rallies last year, it felt personal. Because parks like that are supposed to be places where children learn what community looks like, not places where hate tries to make home. But once again, the community showed up. Urban Alliance on Race Relations, the Toronto and York Labor Council, migrant justice organizers, students, professors, grandmothers, and instead of letting hate dominate the space, we turned the park into something else. We brought music, we brought art, we brought some speeches, and we brought community. It became something like a people's festival of solidarity. And yes, their rally ended early because hate has a hard time growing when it's surrounded by thousands of people defending one another. But moments like that also raise difficult questions, including questions about policing, because we continue to see very different responses depending on who's protesting. Movements advocating for the Palestinian human rights often face aggressive policing, yet white supremacist groups are often treated as if their view is simply another political viewpoint. And we have to be honest about that. There's been a long history in this country of policing treating communities differently depending on the color of their skin and where they came from. Justice requires fairness, not selective enforcement. Which brings me to something I'd like to invite you to. On March 23rd, educators, labor leaders, and community organizers will gather for an event marking the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. It will be a space to talk honestly about racism and hate and how we build solidarity powerful enough to confront it. If today's conversation resonates with you, I invite you that you're welcome to come, because movements grow when people gather together. And when people build relationships, when people organize, ultimately, all of this comes down to our imaginations. Too often we're told that the only choices available are the ones that are already on the table. But movements have always been spaces where imagination grows, where people ask, what if our economy actually worked for communities? What if prosperity meant well-being? What if our institutions were strengthened instead of dismantled? Those questions are not naive. They are the starting point of every major social transformation. Which brings us back to that song. Because sometimes we need reminders that history can move, that progress is possible, that when people organize together, change happens. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nigel. And we'll arrange to have the dates of those meetings he mentioned sent out on Monday so people can access them. Now it's time for some inner prayer or meditation. Today's meditation will honor Ramadan, which ends this coming Thursday. Ramadan is the lunar month in which Muslims fast from sunrise to sundown, dry fast, no food, no drink. And it's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. But this meditation doesn't focus on the fast. It focuses on the iftar, the moment when the fast is broken at sunset in community. Ramadan is unique to Muslims, to Islam, but the feeling of putting down a burden that you're carrying is about as universal as any feeling might be. I carried worries about service weaving as I came in here this morning. And I suspect everyone came in this morning carrying their own burdens or their own worries. So for a few minutes, as you breathe in, think of a worry that you're carrying. And as you breathe out, think of putting that worry down. Think of the worry, and then think of putting it down, and then repeat. Suzanne will start playing in a few minutes, and the meditation will end. But for now, this is our iftar, this moment, this breath. And gently, in your own time, come back to this space, to where we are. as we go into the next offering by our choir.
The choir is going to share with you a well-known protest song, Bella Ciao. Maybe you know it to be about an anti-fascist movement in Italy and the Partigianos. But as we I researched the song and shared with the choir, the original lyrics actually date back about 60 years before those lyrics were written. And the first two verses we're going to sing for you today are those original lyrics, written for poor female workers working in the rice paddy fields of Italy. The translation's up there. They were working, up past their knees in water for many, many hours and being beat by their bosses, amongst all the insects in terrible work conditions and being paid pennies. That's where the song actually originally comes from. But this song has traveled all over the world, and many different movements have picked it up and written their own lyrics, including climate movements, other women's movements, anti-fascism, anti-racism movements. So in the flow of A Change Is Gonna Come, we're going to sing from the point of view of those original workers. And then in the third verse, we're going to sing a verse from an Argentinian movement for women's bodily autonomy. And that verse is all about, we're going to bring down patriarchy and capitalism. And then in the final verse, we're going to sing a verse from Spain that was written also for women's justice around domestic violence and wanting proper laws to address how women were being treated in the homes. And in that verse, we're talking about we're not just 20, we're thousands, and we're going to be together to free ourselves. So it starts from the workers and ends with us changing the world for each other. Bella ciao.
We have a candle lit every week for a Unitarian. This week we're lighting a candle for Margaret Lawrence, the sometime Unitarian after whom the Rainbow Room is named. Margaret is well known as a great Canadian writer, Stone Angel, which survived even my attempts to teach it, The Diviners, and many others, including a less well-known book, The Christmas Birthday Story, which she sent to UCV, the Unitarian Church of Vancouver, with a cordial letter thanking them for having first inspired her to write the story. It's a Christmas story without angels. God doesn't get a mention. It's a very human story of family, of travel, and of a carpenter and his wife who are going to have a baby. And this last candle is lit for her. The final candle is lit for all the joys and concerns that remain in our hearts.
We're going to sing another hymn together. This is another new song that's been accepted into Sing Out Love. Alan introduced it when he was here a couple of weeks ago, but you may have missed that. And looking at the time, I don't have time to teach it today, but we're going to be singing 4 verses of it, so I'm hoping you'll catch on. And next week, next Sunday, we'll be repeating the song again with the Spirit Band. It's called We Will Carry Each Other, and it's a song that is really celebrates community, and that is exactly what we're going to need more and more and more of, as the structures we've depended on might not be as dependable anymore. So I invite you either to sing along with us or to absorb this song as the choir shares it with you.
And I invite Nisha to come up for the pledge testimonial. No? Sorry, Beth. So many people who want to testify about pledging.
Thank you. Okay, just going to put this here. Hi, everybody. I'm Nisha Catherine. Put it here? Or I have to speak into it. Okay. When I was a child attending Anglican church, I questioned why Christianity had to be it. What about the people in other parts of the world who had different religions, I thought. I never asked the question or found the answer there. But that church in Lachine, Quebec, which had been part of my mother's family for nearly 2 centuries, was a place of community, music, and safety for me. In the 1980s, I found Joseph Campbell, and I became excited by his studies and teachings of comparative myth and comparative religions, and I identified with his pantheism. In coming to Neighborhood, I found the community, safety, and warmth that I had been seeking, as well as a place where all beliefs are accepted. It took 3 attempts, though, to get me to stay, being encouraged by friends, Jane Nares, Eileen Boxall, and finally Reverend Lynn Harrison. And it took about 6 visits here for you all to catch me and make me stay. One Sunday I knew I had found my place. I also knew that if I didn't actually join, I knew myself well enough to know I'd get kind of lazy and drift away. So I decided to make the commitment, and my husband Nigel became a member as well, and that was May 15th in 2016, nearly 10 years. I came to this place wanting something. I wanted, and still want, to grow spiritually, and to do that in a warm, supportive, heart-filled community. Over time, I've also learned much from nature and this universe, and one of my beliefs is that what goes around comes around. Said another way, the tides go in and out, we give and we receive. Not long after becoming members, we decided to make monthly contributions through our bank account. I like to keep things simple, and an automatic withdrawal was easy. It didn't have to think about it anymore. Okay, sorry. I'm from Quebec. We talk with our hands. I also knew that if my circumstances changed, I could change or cancel those monthly donations. In this 2026 pledge campaign, Neighborhood is asking you something different. When you came here, like me, you were most likely looking for something as well. Now Neighborhood is asking you on the pledge form what more or less you would like to be part of here. And our 100% commitment, or our 100% goal, is not to reach a certain amount of money, it's to have all of you participate and say, this is my vision for me and for Neighborhood. That's really, really important. And I just hearing the words, you know, my courage is your courage, and that's the way it works here. If you cannot pledge a dollar amount, just pledge to be part of this community. Perhaps volunteer for coffee hour or be a greeter, but that's not important right now. What's important is that you're committing, that you are a part of this wonderful community. So yeah, reaching 100% doesn't mean that everyone contributes money. It means that everyone completes the form. And share with us your hopes for our community. For myself, I look forward to working with others here on our involvement with Indigenous reconciliation, and I want to continue growing myself spiritually. Sometimes when I leave here on a Sunday, I don't remember the theme or the main points of the message or the names of the beautiful songs we sing, but I always remember how I feel when I'm here and how I feel when I leave here. That is why I give back. Our pledge campaign ends next Sunday, so please try to get your form in today. I'm not sure if Lillian is here, if she's, is she? Okay, so Lillian is sitting at a table back there, and so just fill in that part about what you want from neighborhood and from everyone here. Thank you.
Now it's time for our offering. As you heard, this congregation is a living entity, and like all living things, it needs nurturing and sustenance. However you contribute, we are deeply grateful for those contributions. There's a link up there that you can use. If you have found love and acceptance here, if you have known kindred spirits here, if you've found a home here, then this offering is a token of gratitude for our common life as together we build the common good. Greeters, if you could bring the money to the front and just put it down on the front of the lectern when the money is collected. And now, life of the community, the many things that are going on in our congregation. You can become glass wall certified. The glass wall behind you is tricky to open and close and brutally expensive to fix. Dieter, one of our building's custodians, will be here after today's service to teach any willing volunteers how to open and close the wall. Become a trained and certified wall opener. Things you never saw in your future. Circle music will not be happening today. I don't know, I was just told it wouldn't. C, our Social and Environmental Action Group meets on Zoom at 4:30 this Thursday, the 19th. The meeting will focus on April action to support the 7th UU principle, the interdependent web of all existence. For more info, please contact Nancy. Nancy, are you here today? Okay, she's online. Neighborhood Games Night will be happening at 4:30 p.m. Thursday the 19th. On Zoom, you can use the regular service link. And
That's the C announcement that's happening on Zoom at 4:30 on Thursday.
okay, there. Tricky, right. It's on Friday night, the games night. Thank you.
Yes, games night starts at 6:30 on Friday.
6:30 Friday for games night. Yes, in person. It's tough to play games over Zoom. I really did throw the dice that way. You've got to believe me. Neighborhood's annual general meeting is Sunday, April 26th after the service. Only members can vote, but all are welcome. And nominations are now open for Neighborhood's Board of Directors. The family choir is going to happen. This is something new. On April 12th, kids, youth, and families are all invited to join the Spirit Choir to sing some all-ages music for the April 12th service. If you're interested, join for rehearsals 7 to 8 o'clock on Monday, March 30th and April 6th. We'll play musical games and learn songs for the April 12th intergenerational service. Next Sunday, the message is Justice, Equity, and Compassion as a Living Practice. The speakers will be Joe Strakowski and Anna De Felici. The music from Suzanne and Friends. Reverend Sally will be doing the service weaving, and Anna will be leading the Time for All Ages. Check the screen in the Cappuccino Room and your Friday weekly emails for more announcements and about opportunities to connect here at Neighborhood. Lillian will be giving out one of these books after service at the back. You may have to answer a skill testing question, but they're not that tough. And fill out a pledge form.
Very good.
Thank you.
So this next song that we're going to do is called People Have the Power. And I was super excited when I found out we were doing this song because it's seriously one of my favorite songs. And one of the things that was difficult for me in learning this song, really the thing that was most difficult, is that I always get choked up when I hear this song. And so I had to practice it over and over again until I could sing it without getting choked up. Patti Smith, there's enough people in this room, I think, who probably were around when Patti Smith first came out on the scene. And whether you were or know her or not, Patti Smith is well known as the godmother of punk music, because of her radical, full-on presentation when she sang. I saw a video where she was talking about where the song came from. Apparently she was peeling potatoes and feeling kind of grumpy. And her husband, Fred, came in and said, people have the power. Patti, you have to write it. And so she wrote the song, Fred wrote the music, and their intention was, this was in 1988, their intention was to try to recapture the energy and spirit that they had experienced in the anti-war protests during the Vietnam War. And so I think you'll feel that power when you hear us sing this song.
We can all rise. I'm hoping you will all join us on the chorus, which is, people have the power. People have the power. Can we try that? People have the power. People have the power. That's right, people.
Well, I was dreaming, in my dreaming, oh, of an aspect bright and fair. And my sleeping, it was broken, but my dream, it lingered near. In the form of shining valleys, where the pure air recognized, and my senses newly opened, I awakened to the cry that the people have the power to redeem the work of fools upon the meek, the gracious shower. It's decreed the people rule. People have the power. People have the power. People have the power. People have the power. Believe it.
Vengeance aspects become suspect and bending low as if to hear, and the armies ceased advancing because the people had their ear.
And the shepherds and the soldiers, well, they lay beneath the stars, exchanging seeing visions of laying arms to waste in the dust.
In the form of shining valleys where the pure air rarefied.
And my senses newly open, I awaken to the cry.
People have the power. People have the power. People have the power. People have the power.
Where were deserts, I saw fountains like cream. The waters rise, and we stroll there together. That knows a pure view.
And the lamb they lay together, truly bound. And I'm hoping, in my hoping, to recall what I had found.
I was dreaming, in my dreaming, God knows a pure view.
As I lay down in my sleeping, I commit my dream to you.
People have the power to dream. People have the power to vote. People have the power to strike. People have the power to love.
The power to dream, to rule, to rescue the world from fools. It's a creed, the people rule. It's a creed, the people rule. Listen, I believe everything we dream can come to pass through our union. We can turn the world around. We can turn it to revolution. We have the power.
People have the power. People have the power. People have the power. People have the power. People have the
Wow. Kim, I invite you up to extinguish our chalice as we sing. And I invite you to take your neighbor's hand or reach out to touch their shoulder so we connect physically as we have spiritually. And today I leave you with this blessing by Ursula Le Guin. Walk carefully, well-loved one. Walk mindfully, well-loved one. Walk fearlessly, well-loved one. Return with us, return to us, always coming home. The circle is now open. Go in peace and love and power.